les Bronydays, Monsieur M.A Larson.
Bonjour mes amis.
So now we have two presents for you. So we have Bronydays from Italy, who brings you Drake from a Drake from maybe you can come to give, please. So this. This flag. Don't want it. Voilà, donc les plus italiens, rien que pour amener ce drapeau-là. And we have the second one. Que quelqu'un apporte une baguette. He's ready. So, as we know on Twitter, you like friends. So. A lot of friends. So, your first impression of the content?
Parce que là, voilà. Je pense qu'il est là parce que celui-là, il fait beaucoup de Larsen.
So, your first impression of the first Bronydays?
C'est bon. It's amazing. It's fantastic. I'm so happy to be here, and thank you guys for having me here. Is anybody translating this? Do it all in French? Un peu?
Je suis ici pour vous faire souffrir. Ah oui, c'est sûr. Il est éteint, il est éteint. C'est juste que là, voilà. Donc, la baguette!
Non, plus que les Françaises, moi.
Anybody want some? Alright, let's go.
Right. So, everyone knows you as Sarah's from Tomato Point. It's kind of obvious. So you... Let's go. So, Sarah's the 4th century historic rainbow Kurima Chronicles, written in Hawaii, the best of all lunar eclipse. Just doing the list of the eclipse.
Say what did you say?
En fait, j'étais juste en train de faire la liste des épisodes qu'il a fait en tant que scénariste. Pictures are allowed. So we have a question that came from some of the staff and all from forums. Do you have contacts with law enforcement?
What?
Do you have contacts with law enforcement?
Yes, I was going to write for her new show, Wander Over Yonder, but I ran out of time, so I couldn't do it. But yeah, I talk to her every now and then. Not a lot, but every now and then.
And how did you came to write for Hasbro and DHX for Mental Point?
I wrote one episode of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. Do you guys know that show? Do you understand me? Yes. Am I talking too fast? No. 12 beat? No? Well, I wrote one episode of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, and then Lauren got My Little Pony, and I asked her if I could write for it, and she said yes, thankfully. So I think she didn't think I would be interested in it, but I'm glad I did.
So, how much time does it take you and do you write them with Megan, for example? How much time does it take to write a full episode of Mental Point?
It takes somewhere between a month or two because you write an outline. Well, you have a meeting where you break the story down into its beats, and then write an outline, and then you get notes from the network, from the hub, and then you write a script. It's a lot of steps.
Yes.
Probably a month or two.
Yes. And also, do you write like so? Do you write all the episodes you did?
Yeah, we all get together at the beginning of the season and come up with ideas, and then when it's time to do an episode, completely on my own.
And then you see with all the team if there's something to correct or.
What's that? Sorry.
And after you have a meeting, after you wrote the episode, you have a meeting with all the teams to know if there's things to change or if the episode is right or if you can add some little fancy things or.
Not really. I write the script, get notes from Hasbro, and then it's gone. And I don't see it again until you guys do, until it's on TV. The animators take it, and they can, they'll add little jokes here or there. Daniel will do the music. So once I turn in my draft, it's gone.
So Hasbro is ordering all the episodes for my point. Like they send you an idea of episode and then you write something from the little type they give you, or do they just tell? Can you write an episode and then we see what can we do with it and what can you do with all the team from DHX?
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying. Sorry. Hello.
Are they telling us?
Yes.
Hasbro, at the beginning of the season, they'll say, we would like to focus on whatever it is, the Cutie Mark Crusader or Canterlot. We want more episodes in Canterlot. Then we try to come up with ideas that match that. But it's usually just one thing or two things that they want us to see if we can come up with an idea for. And that's about it. And after that initial meeting, there's not much else in terms of that, the toy company.
So another question is, I think it's a question you got asked from Brian Connor. I can't write. Was it prepared for like middle season 2, or it was prepared like end of season 2 and for season 3, or was it in plans for since Lawrence was came in the show? It's hard.
There's things I can't talk about.
Yeah.
I think Lawrence had the idea from the beginning that they were all working towards something. I'm not sure if this was exactly it, maybe it was, I don't really know. But I can't really say. There's season four is about to start, you know.
Yeah.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah. So, I think we can do some Q&A. C'est moi qui reprends cette horreur. Voilà. Je parie qu'il y a quelques questions. Levez la main. On va tous en même temps.
Est-ce que vous
Qui veut la baguette?
So, I'm probably not the only one who's wondering, is there anything you can tell us?
About what? About it?
I don't know, your favorite brand.
Sorry?
About season 4. 4, yes, 4.
Season 4? I don't know anything about it. I didn't write on season 4.
Oh, you're not working on it?
I did not write on season 4.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be watching it just like you guys.
Oh.
If there's a season 5, maybe I'll go back to that, but I ran out of time. I had too much to do, and I couldn't work on season 4 or Lauren's other show, so I had to, unfortunately, couldn't do either of those, but I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Okay.
We'll see.
Thank you.
Sure. I don't know.
Hello, I'm greeting from Finland. And why is my... sorry. I have two questions and they're fighting over each other. Your episodes seem to have a bit more continuity than other episodes in the series. How important do you think continuity is to the episodic series like My Little Pony?
Well, it's not, it's not an anime show. It's not something that has this really, it does have its own mythology, but I guess it's kind of a soft mythology, and, we create it as we go. I've always liked shows that remember what happened in other episodes, so I do put a lot of that in. But there's other episodes that just stand completely on their own. So it's important, but it's not, what am I trying to say? It's not one of those, it's not Tolkien, you know what I mean? It's not like the reason we're doing it, but it's nice to have it in there, and it's nice to feel like the world is consistent. What did I say? Does that not translate well? No? Beautiful.
Next questions?
Okay, so you know that many people in the fandom have headcanons about background ponies. I really would like to know if you, as a scenarist, also had some headcanons about, for example, Viny Scratch or Talia.
Well, those characters aren't actually characters. Those are all your creation. In an episode, I would write background pony number 1, and the animators would put in Final Scratch or something like that. They didn't have names for us. You guys created all that stuff. So I love that. There's a whole other world to the show that we didn't have anything to do with, and don't really know anything about. It gives it a whole other layer. But I don't know anything about those characters. Like I said, I put background pony number 1. So, there you have it.
First of all, thank you for coming. As you may know, My Little Pony is also a very prolific comic book by IDW. Have you any plan, or have you been contacted by them to write something? And in general, as you're writing, do you plan to move on other mediums, like, for instance, comic books or books in general?
Yes. I was talking to Andy Price about, he had an idea to have the show writers write some little things for the comics, not a full issue or anything. And he, well, I was going to, I may still, I'm not sure if this is going to happen or not. I wanted to write just sort of a slice of life Celestia thing, just what she's doing on a Sunday afternoon. So hopefully that'll happen. We talked about it in Las Vegas before that convention exploded. So hopefully that'll happen. And then I wrote a book that's coming out next fall. It's not affiliated with My Little Pony, but I think you guys might like it anyways. It's got a lot of the same kind of values and things like that. And that's why I couldn't work on season 4, because I was working on that. And it's going to come out next fall. And I'm writing the movie adaptation right now too. So hopefully there'll be a movie as well. So.
Next question.
So as you know, My Little Pony has been adapted as well in many countries and dubbed in many countries. So in this case, in general, what happens? Does the US team keep track of these things, or they just, yeah, basically?
You mean translations?
Yes, for example, translations and then also dubbing process, production process and everything. Do they let the countries do everything, or?
I have no idea. I don't know. Our production, our show is all produced in Canada. So I've never met John, well, he's in Los Angeles, but I've never met John Delancey. I've never met a lot of the production people, Jim Miller, I've never met him. So we're really separate from them. The writers are in Los Angeles, and everybody else is up there. So what happens after the show is produced, I have no idea. Sorry.
Hello. As a scenarist, do you have read fan fiction about My Little Pony, and what do you think about the rock, what do you think about the rock fan group about this fan fiction?
I've not read any fan. We're not supposed to read fan fiction because there's legal issues. Say you wrote a story, and then I stole it, then you could sue me, or you could sue Hasbro, I guess. So we're not supposed to read that stuff. And I think it's better that we don't, because when we started producing the show, it wasn't for you guys. I don't know if you know that. It was for little girls. It wasn't for you guys. And I think you would get pissed off if we started writing it for you guys. If the show started to change and be more for this fandom. I think there's just a heart to it that should stay there, and so we try to try to stay in a bubble, I guess, But I love that all that stuff exists. It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible to walk around the vendors hall and see the level of talent in this fan base. It's nuts. It's nuts. You're more talented than the staff.
Okay, so 2 words: bad ponies.
Hey, it's canon. Lauren said it, so I'm going to hide behind her. Does that disrupt things? Is that bad? Is it bad that they're another race? Oh, really? Okay. I think mine is too. They're making one for me now.
Hi. Well, I like to ask what do you think is the most interesting thing to tell with us while I sparkle and with Discord? What do you like to tell with characters?
Charity?
Yes.
What would I like to
what do you like to write, to tell about vampire adventure? What do you think is most interesting thing? What do you like writing? What do you like writing about them?
Sorry, what do I like writing about? Sorry.
He mean what is your favorite character to write about?
Okay. Rarity is my favorite. She's a lot of fun to write for. I know this is a very controversial subject. 5/6 of you are really pissed off right now, but I love writing for Rarity. I really like Applejack. She reminds me of a friend of mine. Pinkie Pie, of course, is always fun. They're all fun in their own way. So, and I love writing new characters too, like Discord or whoever I get us, the Flip Flap Brothers.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
I've seen there's some scenes in the show where, for example, in Magic Duo, there's a little scene where Pinkie Pie got her mouth deleted. I thought if that kind of gags written in the script, or is that something that the animators improvise?
That's a really good example, actually. In that script, I had her lose her mouth. But the idea of the cursor coming over and taking the mouth and putting it in the trash, the animators added that. So I had the concept of her losing her mouth. I just had it be a spell and then it was gone. And the animators changed it into that computer cursor thing. So it's kind of both, actually. It wasn't a script, but then they changed it into something else. So that happens every now and then. If they think it's a funny joke, they'll add it in. So, it's 50% one, 50% the other, sometimes.
I heard on the internet that you are compared to a crab sometimes.
Yes.
Why?
It's not a very interesting answer, but I'll tell you. Because I went to Bronycon, which is in Baltimore. And Baltimore is famous for crabs. Chesapeake Bay is right there. They're famous for the crabs. So I was promoting Bronycon, just like my Twitter icon now is M.A Larson. Hooray. Promoting the convention, basically. And then it took on a life of its own. When I was at Bronycon, I was walking through the vendor hall. Some guy had made plush crabs with my face on them.
Hello again. I was thinking, how did you create the character of Discord? How did it pop out of your mind? And how did you build the whole what is it? No chaos around this, and so much fun of this character.
He was you get assigned a premise for the episode, so it's about this long paragraph, and it just said, all it said was Discord returns, and the ponies have to figure out how to stop him. So there was nothing in there that said what he was. So I went in for the story meeting with Lauren, and this guy named Rob Renzetti, who was the story editor before Megan. And we were just thinking, who should he be, what should he be like, what are we going to do with him? And then Lauren said, oh, wouldn't it be cool if he was like Q from Star Trek? Do you guys know Q? I had no idea who that was. I'd never seen The Next Generation. So they both got really excited. Yeah, he could be like Q. And so I went home and I watched all The Next Generation with John Delancey and them on YouTube the whole weekend, just one after another. And I loved the character and his voice and the whole thing. So I just tried to write Q, basically. I tried to write him just like Q. He has fun creating chaos. It's fun for him. He's not really an awful guy, He has fun being mean, or being evil, I guess. So it was just that. It was just basing off Q. And then I actually said to Lauren afterwards, I said, I love this guy so much. Do you think we could get John to do the voice? And she got him. So then it was him reading the actual lines. So that was amazing to see. So that's it. It was just based on Q. Hey, this is my friend.
Hold up. I heard you like to hide
you tell us some of the secret stuff that you've hidden in your scripts? Trying to think through my episodes. There's Star Wars stuff. Magic Duel had a whole subplot with Zecora training Twilight that sort of got cut. But I'm sure you can recognize the Empire Strikes Back reference there. There's references to movies I love that none of you will have heard of. It's a movie called The Commitments, an Irish film. It's my favorite movie, and I put a reference to that in Swarm of the Century. And the animators add a lot too. The end of Return of Harmony, the Star Wars scene at the end of that, I didn't even do that, they added that in. So, you know, it's just, you're writing, you're like, oh, that would be funny if we reference that, put it in. Yeah, but they're everywhere, they're all over.
Hi, two very important, useless questions. The first, how are you?
Oh, really good.
Okay, thanks. And the second, have we ever told you you look like a young Luc Besson?
Really? Is that good?
Thank you.
Merci.
Hi.
Bonjour.
Do you know Cindy Morrow?
Sorry?
Cindy Morrow. Do you
Yes.
Yeah. She was on back and she gave me the button with your eyeball. And she gave it to everybody there. And tell you have to wear your eyeball. So why do we have to wear your eyeball?
I have no idea. She texted me and said, can you send me a picture of your eye? And I said, sure. So I took a picture of my eye and sent it to her, and then she made pins. She's like insane. She's completely insane. And she's, I don't know if she sells them or what. Everybody gets one? I'll sign it for you if you want. I don't question Cindy. If she says to do something, just do it. If you don't know what he's talking about, Cindy got a picture of my eye and made little pins that she gave away at BuckCon. I don't know why, because she's nuts.
Okay, so I think everyone is wondering, what is the point of a work farm?
What is the point of the what?
A work farm. Since Pinky was working on a work farm when she was...
Oh, the rock farm.
Work farm, yeah.
Okay. What is the purpose?
If you don't want to explain us the purpose, you can also explain how you came with this idea.
Well, I mean, the purpose is obviously to cultivate the rocks, obviously. The best quality rocks. It was just, it's very Pinky. It's just, we were trying to think, you know, in that episode in particular, it's 6 different stories you have to tell in a very short amount of time. And so you think, okay, so what would it make sense for Applejack to do? Well, to do the fish out of water, you know, she goes to the big city. And then Pinky, what would Pinky do? You know, what was she like as a kid? Who knows? But the rock farm was so Pinky. You know, it's just like, yes, that's right. That's exactly where she grew up, is on a rock farm. I don't really know. I mean, it just, that's who she is. It makes sense. And it also had to be, because her whole story was discovering her smile. So it had to be somewhere kind of drab and bland and, you know, what's more bland than a rock farm. So, yeah.
I just want to know if you heard about cupcakes and Rainbow Factory, and what do you think about the guys who make that?
I'm aware of them. I haven't read them or anything. I mean, I get this question at every convention, but I've heard of them, and I know just what happens, but I haven't read them. And I hope most of you haven't either.
As a writer for RPG I'm making, I was wondering, like, if scenarists like you, for MLP, were the one who were like, oh, let's add, for example, this empire, let's add these mountains that they are going to visit. Like,
are you the one working on this whole universe like this? You know, like let's have this or this city.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the episode. Like Sonic Rainboom, Lauren really wanted to go see Cloudsdale for the first time, really see what it looked like. So the middle of that episode, from commercial to commercial, it's basically just walking around Cloudsdale, seeing what it's like. She really wanted to explore it and look at it. And there was stuff that got cut. There was a factory where they had lightning in bottles, and Pinky knocked one over, and the lightning bolt shot all over the place. But things get cut all the time for time, they're too long. But, you know, that's an instance where Lauren wanted to see that world, and I think, nobody's recording this, right? I think there's one in season 4 where they may go to, I shouldn't say that, somewhere else. But it, you know, it depends, like, let's get a new world, let's get a new universe. It's also hard to build those for the animators, so you can't do a whole lot of those. If they go somewhere new, like Appaloosa, they have to build that entire world, and it's really time consuming. But yeah, like Sonic Rainbow, it was me who delved into that world, because that's what Lauren wanted to do.
I would like to know what it's like to write on a show where part of the fandom goes through every episode with a fine-tooth comb, analyzing every word, scrutinizing every single bit.
Yeah.
What it's like to write for a show like that?
It's great. It's really cool. It's really cool. I've had people tell me they've noticed patterns in my writing that I didn't know were there, and I'm like, yeah, you're kind of right, actually. That is there. I always have the characters falling, and Ponyville is about to be destroyed. For some reason, I didn't realize I was doing that, but it's cool. It's a little, you know, it's a little frustrating when people take it to heart too much, and then they have Twitter accounts. That can be a little frustrating, but you know, it's also because you guys, when you watch the episodes, or I mean, you guys as a fandom, not you particularly, you can watch them all over and over again, and you can watch it back to back, and you can really immerse yourself in it. And when we write them in such a vacuum. You know, we never are together. I don't see Cindy or Megan or whatever, except for one story meeting. So there might be inconsistencies between the episodes that we don't even know are there, but you do. But, you know, like I said, it's not Tolkien, it's not... So if there's those inconsistencies in My Little Pony, so be it.
Do you have your word to say on the choreographed scene, like a flight scene or fight scene?
Anything to say on what?
Fight scene.
Oh, choreography?
Yes.
I'm not sure I've had a fight scene. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, okay, so I guess the best example I think of is the end of Return to Harmony with the hot air balloon chase where they're chasing Rainbow Dash. That was all scripted. Drop the rope now, Applejack tries to lasso, you know, all that stuff is scripted. Because it's also a timing issue. You got a page script. It's gonna be, I think it's a minute and a half or something, or less than a minute of animation. So, you have to break down the beats just for the timing of the episode. But I do have a funny anecdote about that. Do you guys know a show called Symbionic Titan? The Gendy Tartakovsky show that was on Cartoon Network. It's a big fighting robot show, and they told me to do a sword fight scene, like an old-fashioned swashbuckling sword fight scene. So I watched all these old movies, wrote out this really elaborate sword fighting scene, and then Gendy, who's the creator of the show, he did Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack. So he took my script, cut all of it out, and just wrote a cool fight scene here. I was like, okay. It's still probably better than what I wrote, so cool. Yeah.
What do you think about the Brony phenomenon?
About Brony
Brony.
fandom?
Yes.
Yes? It's, this whole thing is really surreal. Like, every time I do one of these, I'm like, is this really happening? I can't believe I'm in Paris right now with you guys. Like, the first, I've said this in other interviews, the first thing I saw was Lawrence showed me this video of these Russian bronies at this kind of day camp in the middle of the forest, singing Winter Wrap Up. And I was like, what the hell is going on? First of all, thinking of all their guys, and they know all the words. What I didn't understand, and the more I got into it, the more I was like, this is unbelievable. This is so cool. People are actually. I've written for so many things that nobody watches. You know, my mom doesn't even watch them. So to have people watch it and care and get into the spirit of the show, it's amazing. It's amazing.
I have a question myself that maybe sounds original, but what have you made from My Little Pony you're the most proud of?
Either the song from the Super Speedy Cider Squeezy 6000, because I just love it, or the Return of Harmony two-parter, because I'd never written a two-parter for any show, and it was a longer form, and it was really complex, because you have to tell 6 different characters getting lost in this labyrinth. Really fun villain, and it added the mythology of the show. So, probably that, one of those two.
Hello, par contre, pour un traducteur, parce que je ne parle pas anglais. En français, vous avez créé Discord, qui est un des personnages les plus charismatiques de l'univers de My Little Pony. Je pense que beaucoup de monde, quasiment tout le monde le pense. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez de l'épisode dans la saison 3 où Discord sympathise avec Fluttershy?
So it's about Discord or Fluttershy. What do I think?
What do you think about Discord reconversion into a nice guy?
Oh, okay. That was weird, because that was a character that, with Lauren and Rob that I created, and I had this whole arc with, and then I didn't really know anything about that episode until I saw it on TV. And it was strange, that's the guy that I wrote, and now those words coming out I didn't write. It's really weird. But it was good. It was good. I liked it. I hope it's not permanent, but that's not up to me. We'll see.
Just one question. Why all violence of MLP are living by 1,000 years ago?
What's that? Huh?
Why all the villains in the MLP are always living 1,000 years ago?
Why is something 1,000-year-old?
Yeah.
Why, what is 1,000-year-old?
Why all the villains are
The villains. Well, the villain's 1,000-year-old. There's a reason. It's part of the mythology. I don't know. I have no idea. It's a convenient number. They're scarier when they're older.
Hi. When you write a script, do you have a special place to think of new ideas? Like bathtub or toilet?
Not really. They just sort of come when they come. Like Return of Harmony came from watching Star Trek. It was like, oh, they should do this, and they should do this. It just, you get ideas when you get ideas. It's a little, the way the show works, you sit in a room for an entire day and you break down the whole story. So you have to have the ideas in that little room. You don't have a choice. And then I go home and sit in my office, and then individual moments will come. But it just sort of happens.
Hi, in Lunar Eclipse, did you wrote the replica, The Fun Has Been Doubled?
Yeah.
How did words like Every Pony and Experience came to be in the show, and why?
Say it again?
How did words like Every Pony came to be in the show, and why?
All right, I'm just going to say it. That makes me crazy. Every time I had to type every pony, I cringed. But then you get used to it, and then you start doing it in other shows. I was ready for Symbionic Titan to type every pony. You get a habit. I don't even notice it anymore. Lauren had it in there. I don't really know why, but I don't know. I have no idea. That's a good question. I'll ask her. At first it was really hard to do, but after maybe 2 episodes, you don't even notice anymore. But we've missed a few. There are some everyone's that have gotten on the air. I don't know if you've noticed that. How do you translate every pony? Is that what they say? Okay. All right.
Sorry, I've noticed when I've been watching the show that a lot of the routine behind the scenes and a lot of the comedy that comes out of the show, it reminds me of what I grew up with, like Dexter's Lab and Powerpuff Girls, a lot of the old, I call it the ghost of Hanna-Barbera, basically. Hanna-Barbera's over and it's kind of like the remnants. So for you personally, do you consider that as part of your inspiration, and what are some of your other inspirations for creating your characters and working with them?
It's not really there is that lineage deep in the show. If you look at Cindy Morrow and Amy King Rogers and Megan McCarthy, they all worked on those shows. You know, Amy wrote for Dexter's Laboratory and I think Samurai Jack. And Lauren obviously was on Powerpuff Girls, and Robert Zetti was on all those shows. The staff from My Little Pony worked on all those shows. That's definitely in there. I didn't come from that background. They all went to Cal Arts together, the Art Institute in California. So I came from a different, I wrote feature films when I lived in New York, like small, dark indie movies. I didn't really know much about animation until I moved to Los Angeles. And I got a job at Cartoon Network, and so I'm pretty new to animation in general. So maybe classic films I love classic films, like Ponyville Confidential, when Rarity is saying things like, A2, Sweetie Belle, and that kind of thing. That's just Katharine Hepburn and over the top, and that's what I'm thinking. But there is a lot of other people who have that Hanna-Barbera past. So,
that also explains why I love very well. Her overdrawn position.
Yeah, I love that element of her. And Tabitha does that voice so beautifully.
Hello there. Just a quick, simple question. How many times have you seen Equestria Girls?
0.
0?
I've never
Seriously?
seen it. I will someday. It's just, I've never seen it. It was in the theaters for a weekend, not very long, and it hasn't been on TV, has it? How did you guys see it? Did you go to the cinema?
Yes.
YouTube? It's on YouTube? Maybe I'll watch it tonight.
Okay, so I really hope you have an answer for this question as you wrote the episode. What comes first between Twilight being visited from herself from the future and Twilight going back to the past to visit herself from the past?
What comes between?
What comes between Twilight being visited from herself from the future and Twilight visiting herself from the past?
I don't know. The episode.
Last question.
Sorry, I know that was unsatisfying.
Hi. I was just wondering, is there any possibility sometime in the future, in the seasons to come, there will be more space for background ponies. Even if the background ponies wasn't created by Warren or anybody from the team, is there any possibility we see, just a little storylines maybe in the background, but for them?
I don't think so. I don't know, but I don't think so, because anytime there's any little thing, people start to scream that we're pandering. So I doubt it. And honestly, like the background ponies, personally, again, it's not up to me, but personally I like that that's just a fan thing. I think that's a really cool element of the show. So you've got the main storyline, and then the animators will put what is it, Octavia, or not Octavia, who are the two they put together? The green one, Lyra and Bonbon. And the fans created this like story between the two of them. I love that. And I think that if we tried to take that over, I don't know, that wouldn't be good. I like leaving that for the fans, you know. We focus on the main six and then whatever other characters are necessary for it, but the background ponies is a completely fan-generated element of the show, which is really cool. Yeah, I mean, look at Derpy. When Derpy had lines, look at the disaster that became. So I think that's probably
Bon bah, c'était la dernière question sur le panel. Okay, it was the last question of this panel, so the end, I guess. Thank you very much. Thank you.